Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. Nowadays, I'm exploring the Boeing 787-10 in the simulator, and in this regard, I'm planning to make a series of videos of this plane so that I can just break down all the information related to a flight into different videos, which will make it easy for you to look for a specific information on my channel. So in this regard, I will post videos in which I will show you how to configure the FMC of this plane, which is the flight management computer, then how to start it from the cold and dark state, how to fly it on autopilot, and how to perform ILS approach and landing. So this is going to be the first video in which I will show you how to configure the FMC or the flight management computer. For the rest of the videos, I will give you the links in the description, and you can just follow any of the link based on your learning curve for this plane. So today I'm doing this short flight from Riyadh to Abu Dhabi, and the reason is this, that when I did my first flight with the Boeing 787, like I think 6-7 years back, it was the same route. So I just want to replicate that. So right now I'm at King Khalid International Airport for Riyadh. Let's adjust the view and press Shift 3 to have a look at the FMC. So it's a touchscreen, you can interact with it. The best thing about this plane is this, that you don't need SimBrief to configure the FMC. You can use the built-in electronic flight bag, and plus it also has this takeoff performance calculator, so you can do the takeoff performance calculations from here. So once you go to this FMC, you will see the screen, and over here the model of the plane is mentioned, which is 787-10, and then you have the engines, Trent 1000, and the active ARAC cycle. Now go to index, and first of all, we have to do few things before we configure the FMC for the flight. Now over here you will see this option, IRS Align Time. IRS is actually inertial reference system, and it provides GPS coordinates to the flight management guidance system, so that the system knows where the plane is. So for this, you have to do it, because if I'll go to this option, you will see I need the position to configure the FMC. So that's why we have to go there. So go to index and then settings, and over here you have different options. Either you can do it instantly, you can set it to accelerated or real. Real will take 6 to 7 minutes, accelerated will take 2 to 3 minutes, and instant, it will be just done instantly. Now press Shift 7, and you will get this view of the overhead panel. Over here you will see the controls for the IRS, which is off right now. So you can turn it on, just click it, and now the inertial reference system is there. And the indication is this, that you will have your private flight display and the navigation display working. And now you can get the weight and the balance of the plane from here, and you can also set it. So the maximum, I think, let me just change the frequency. Okay, now it's good. Will it disappear, this message? Anyhow, we will just keep it over here. Okay, so now you can set the passengers, and the maximum passengers that it can carry is 344. So I can set it to 344, just type it over here and click this button. Now you have the full passengers. The payload is right now 74%, and the fuel is in kgs. This is the unit you can change at the home screen. So if you go to the settings, I will just show it to you on your screens. You can change the units between pounds and the kgs. So I usually use kgs, but you can just change it to pounds. Now just one drawback is this, that the fuel calculation is not here. So if you're making flight plans with a SimBrief, it will give you the accurate fuel required for a flight. Over here, as you don't have anything to calculate the fuel, so that's why let's carry any amount of fuel that you can, because you're not paying it from your pocket, so it's not a big issue. But you can just adjust it. Let's say if I just want to reduce it to 30,000 or 30 tons, I can do this. Now you will see the center of gravity has changed, 29.53. You can also change the cargo. Let's keep it at 15,000, and now you can see the CG will further change. And you can even adjust the payload. Let's say if I keep the payload at 80%, then everything will be changed. The passengers will change, and plus the cargo will also change. So you can again set the maximum passengers. So that's how you do it. And now the CG is 27.04 with 86% payload, and the fuel is 30 tons. And you can see it over here. So total fuel is 30 tons and the gross weight is 214.8 tons. And you don't have anything in the center tank, but in the left and the right you have 15 tons of fuel. That's it. Now let's go to this page and go to index. Now go to this option, position, and now you have to set the position. So the reference airport is OERK, which is the ICAO code for King Khalid International Airport in Riyadh. And now you will get the GPS coordinates. Now you have to set the route. For this, I will use the Microsoft Flight Planner, although I can make a flight plan over here. I've already loaded. No, nothing is here. So I can use this electronic flight bag to make the flight plan, but I have to manually select the SID and the STAR, which is Standard Instrument Departure, and the Standard Terminal Arrival, which is the procedure to fly out of an airport and land at an airport. So you have to select it yourself. But in the Microsoft Flight Planner, you can do it automatically. If you're familiar with that process, you can skip this part and you can just go to the next section. But if you're not, then you can just go through the next section. So this is the Microsoft Flight Planner, and you can see the link on the screen. First of all, let's select the aircraft type, which is 787. And then I will just make the route over here. It's really easy to do it. It's quick and no hassle. So it's from Riyadh to Abu Dhabi, which is OMAA. And that's it. Now you have this flight plan over here. The best thing, you can just auto-select the departure and the route, and the rest of the flight plan will be available. And that's it. So this is kind of a crazy departure. Anyhow, we can fix it in the FMC. So SID is actually Standard Instrument Departure, as I've told you before. This is a procedure which has the waypoints and plus the speed and the altitude constraints, if there are any. Because once you fly out of an airport, you don't simply fly out of an airport. There are certain procedures that you have to follow. So SID has all that information. Then over here in the green color, you have the STAR, which is Standard Terminal Arrival. And again, it has the information for all the waypoints and plus if there are any speed and altitude constraints, they are mentioned in the STAR. And then you have the approach in the orange color, which is over here. This is the runway. And by the way, in the light color, you have the procedure for the missed approach. And in purple, you have the rest of the flight plan. So this is automatically selected, but still if you want to change it, you can just change it. Let's say if you want to change the runway, just click over here and change the runway, and then you can select any of the runways. But the best thing about this Microsoft Flight Planner is this, that it picks up the current runways which are being used right now based on the wind information. So that's why you can just keep it like this. And similarly, for approach, you can change the runway for the approach, but it's advisable to keep it like this. But if you want to change it, you can change it. Now let's save this flight plan. I will call it as OERK to OMA, and I will save this plan. I'm not going into this fuel and payload calculation. I've tried doing it. It doesn't give you the correct fuel calculations, but I'm just trying to explore it more. So maybe in the future, I just make a video if I get the correct payload and fuel calculations. So as the flight plan is now saved, I can just load it, and that's it. And I can send it to the avionics. And now you can see this flight plan is there. I can press execute. The only thing that you can do is this, that you can enter the flight number over here. So let's get rid of it. I use AA123 or whatever the flight number that you use. Now let's go to this view, and let me also change the sunlight because the navigation display is not that clear. I think it's good now. So you can get rid of the yoke, and over here you can see this option plan. So if you click this, now you will be able to see the flight plan, and you can check whether it's correct or not. You can change the zoom level by moving this knob over here. Now go to this option, legs, and keep on pressing this button step, and it will take you through all the waypoints. Now you can see the SID is correct. If I press also previous page, let me just get rid of it. If you can see the SID is not like the one appearing in the Microsoft Flight Planner, so it's correct. So just press step, and let's see if the flight plan is correct or not. And as you can see, it is just as per the Microsoft Flight Planner, so it's all good. You can go back to map. Now I can go to this initref, or if you go back to index, let me just adjust it. Let me just change the frequency. That's it. Okay. Now now it's okay. So from here, I can either go to this option, initialization reference, or I can go to index, and from here I can select performance, and now I have to enter a few things over here. Now the zero fuel weight is required, and go back to index, settings, weight and balance, and the zero fuel weight is 184.8 tons. That's it. Now the reserve fuels, reserve is usually 2 tons to 3 tons. So just enter this value. You can enter 2. I always use 2 because I told you before, if you're using SimBrief, then you will have the reserves in the operational flight plan. But as we are not setting the fuel over here, so that's why we cannot get it. Otherwise, there is another way to do it. Let's first of all change the settings. For the volume, let's say if I keep it in liters and the distance in weight in kilograms, and if I just go here, flight performance, and if I set the fuel, let's say in kgs, it's already showing over here as 30,000. So you can go back to this flight planner, and from here you can get the reserves. It says 3 kilograms. Wait, honestly, so maybe you can enter 3 tons. It's not kilograms. Is there any rule? Manual, you can also enter it. Anyhow, I will just ignore it. So the block fuel is appearing as 72 kilograms. Is there something wrong? Anyhow, so we can keep it at 3 tons. Now the cruising altitude, 32,000 feet, so I can enter flight level 320. Now cosmetics is a number which will determine the range of the plane, which can be between 0 to 100. If you are using a high number, let's say 80 or 90, the plane will go at a high speed, more fuel will be burned, but the range of the plane will decrease. And if you want to increase the range of the plane, then you can use a smaller number, 10, 20, or 30. But the speed during the cruising altitude will be less, and the range of the plane will increase. Usually for the flights that I do, I use 80 or maybe 90. So I can keep it at 80. And now you need the CG at the cruising altitude. So can I get it like this? No, just press execute, go back. Settings, weight and balance, and you can see CG is 27.04. So let's go back. And 27. And that's it. Now, for the takeoff performance calculation, and now this is the page, although I will be using the takeoff performance calculator for it, but just want to show you something over here. So if you go to the thrust limit, now these are the settings for the takeoff. Whether you want to take off with the full thrust, or you want to take off with a reduced thrust by 10%, or you want to take off with reduce thrust by 20%. Because if you can just take off with a reduced thrust, why go with the maximum? It is used to save the life of the engine and plus to put less stress on the engine. Plus, you also enter this over here an assumed temperature, which tells the system or the flight management guidance system that it's really hot outside, so the thrust is further reduced. And for the climb also, you can reduce the thrust by different settings. Let's say you can keep it at over here. So I keep everything over here, and then I let the takeoff performance calculator do all the things. So just go to this page, and now I will go to this tab to do the performance. So click over here, performance, and you see this option, copy FMC data, and it will pick up the departure airport, the runway, and then no intersection, just leave it like this. Condition is dry. Now all you have to do is just enter the wind and the outside temperature and the CG. So for the weather, you can go to this option, OERK, weather, and you can get the wind. It's 8 knots from 160 degrees, so the format is 160 degrees /8, which is the speed of the wind, and outside temperature is 19. And you can see air pressure is appearing. It's 1020, so I can change it to 1020. Let me just check one more thing. If you press comma on the screens, you will get it. And you can change the units to HPA 1019. So I will just enter 1019, which is the correct one, because this is the one that's picked up by the plane. And then the thrust rating, optimum thrust, then again you can just reduce it, but keep it optimum and let this calculator do the best performance for the takeoff. And ATM, assume temperature method max, let's keep it like this. As I told you before, it was appearing as max. So, oops. That's it. As I told you before, you have this assume temperature method, which is this. So let it do the calculation. And flaps again, you can set the flaps whether you want 5 flaps or 10 flaps. But remember, during the takeoff you need lift, and the flaps provide the lift, but they also provide drag. So that's why you have to have the optimum settings based on the weight and the fuel this plane is carrying. Anti-ice will be off because I'm not flying in icing condition. That's why I will just keep it off. And now for the CG, it was 27 or 28. Let me just check. 27. So I will enter 27 over here. And then I will press calculate. Now this is the assumed temperature method. 5 flaps will be used. And plus these are the speeds, V1, VR, and V2. And this is the runway, takeoff gross weight. And it's a derated takeoff by 2. So it's over here. This one, 2. That's it. So I can send this output to the flight management computer. And I can just press 3, go over here. And for the takeoff, I can just press accept, and that's it. Now you can see 5 flaps, thrust is 45, CG is 27, runway is 15, trim for the takeoff will be 4.5. This is showing over here, so you have to adjust the trim for the takeoff. And now you have the V1, VR, and V2 speeds. So if you're new to the flight simulation and to this plane, just to explain it to you, V1 is your decision speed. Before this, if you want to stop, you can stop the plane. But after this, you have to take off, because then if you apply brakes, there are chances you might overshoot the runway. VR is the speed at which you rotate, you pull back on the yoke, and you take the plane up in the air. And V2 is the speed that you want to achieve right after the takeoff, because this is the speed at which the plane can still fly with one engine. Now the configuration is almost complete. As you can see, FMC pre-flight complete. As you can see over here, it's 1/2, so there is another page to it. Just go to the next page. It again For the takeoff reference needs some wind. So just click over here and you'll get the wind. Speeds deleted due to change in takeoff conditions. Is it 272? No, it was not. Let me check. 168. So it's not correct. Let's enter this. Okay, so that's it. This is what you can do. And plus over here, you can get the wind for the climb. It's not appearing over here because, again, as I told you before, I'm not using SimBrief, so you don't have the wind information. If you're using SimBrief, then in the operational flight plan, you will have a wind and its direction at different altitudes, so you can just enter it over here. And same for the descent. If you go to this page, you can just get it for the descent. Exactly. Forecast, if you go over here, there's nothing appearing over here. Now, one more thing. Just check if we have the speeds there. Just enter them again because they just got deleted. Now, the speeds have slightly changed as I have changed few things over here. The transition altitude for the climb, if you go to this option VNAV, you will get this transition altitude. This is the altitude at which you will be changing the barometric pressure. So for OERK, departure is already showing over here in green color. So let's select it and let's zoom in and see. It's 13,000. So transition altitude is 13,000. That's it. As you can see, right now, this is the barometric pressure, but above 13,000, then you will press this button standard to change it to standard, which is 1013. And that's it. So this is how you configure the FMC. And if you go to the main page, so now you have the position, you have the performance calculation, you have the thrust limit set to, you can even change it if you want. It's not necessary that you keep it like this. Let's say if I want to go with the full one, then I can just like, for takeoff, I can have different speeds. Something really interesting. Thrust limit, let's keep it over here. And for the climb, maybe I can use some more thrust. Now you can see for takeoff, it's 67.3. So this is a TPR, turbofan power ratio, 67.3, which is the power that the thrust will be at. So you can just do different things, but recommended is to use the settings that you're getting for the takeoff performance calculator. So I just wanted to take some time and explain everything to you. Hopefully this was a useful video for you, and now you will be able to configure the FMC and carry out a successful flight with this plane. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.